Right, we're going to be looking at doing this solid geometry over here. It is of a pentagonal pyramid, and what we need to do is to look at the top view, the right view, and the left view of this thing in first angle orthographic projection. Right, they've given us a little bit of a challenge. They've placed point A over there, and they've given us the length of the side. They've put a point A on the board over here, which means that we can't just draw the pentagon as we'd normally draw with the length of the side and then find the center. They're wanting us to work from the center. In order to do that, I need to get this length over here as to what that length is, and then what I can do is I can then start drawing my pentagon using that small little length from the center to the center of that side over there. There are two ways of doing it. I'm going to show you the first way. The first way is to come down to the bottom over here, draw a length of line of 25 millimeters as they've given you. You can then take your pair of compasses, set them to 25 millimeters, draw your little circle, go to the other side of the line, draw your little circle, go down to the intersection over there, draw your circle over there. That gives you the construction line stories that you need. Draw your perpendicular bisector coming up over here, and at the end of the day I can then take a line coming up from the intersection of the two circles at that point over there, going through the point where the perpendicular bisector cuts through that arc over there, and take that line all the way up to the circle at the top here, which will give me a line going at my 72 degrees over there. You could, of course, just measure off 72 degrees with a protractor. Once I've got that little piece of line over there, I've got two sides of my pentagon. I've got a perpendicular bisector over here. This is all done in construction lines, and what I can then do is I can bisect this blue line over here at the 72 degrees. Just use your pair of compasses. Take a line going across from that intersection to that intersection, and that will give me the center that I need, and that will give me that little piece of line that I was talking about earlier. Remember, I said that you needed that little piece of line, that distance at least, or that radius. There's my radius that I've got. Once I've got that, I can then take that up to point A over there, and I can then draw in a circle with that radius, and take that radius, take it up to point A over here, draw a circle. The circle that I'm drawing would be an inscribed circle of a pentagon, and I can then start drawing my pentagon. That's quite a difficult way of going about getting that little distance over there. If you're good at remembering numbers, the ratio over here is 1 is to 0.6882. Okay, I'll just write that down for you. 1 is to 0.6882. Okay, so in other words, the length of line over here, which is 25, if I multiply it by 0.6882, I'll get that distance over there. Let's just try that. I take my calculator, I type into my calculator 25 multiplied by 25 multiplied by 0.6882 equals, let's push the SD, and it says it's 17.2 millimeters. If I measure with my pair of dividers over here, and I've worked accurately, I should find that I've got about 17.2, and it's almost spot on what I've got over there. So yeah, that's another way of doing it. Right, once I've got my circle over there with that radius of 17.2, I can then draw a line going down over here at the 60 degrees that they ask you to go down at. So center line just going through here, center line, and with that knowledge, I can then come along here and I can draw in a construction line first, and I can then measure off 12.5 millimeters on either side of that line. the 12.5, that would be the length of your half length of the side. Come over here, knock it in there, and knock it in there. And you can go about constructing your pentagon from that. So I'm going to just draw in length of 25 millimeters over there. And I can then do the construction. Take your pair of compasses, set them to that 25. Draw a circle. You can draw a circle. Draw the circle, all with the radius of 25. And you're basically going about doing what you just did down at the bottom over here. Take a point from that intersection of those circles to that point over there. Take a line going up over here. That makes a mark on that circle over there. So from that point to there. And turn it around. Do the same thing on the other side. From the intersection of the circle to where the arc and the bisector cut, up to that circle over there, and I end up with a point over there. That gives me two lines going off at my 72 degrees. Let's just draw that in. Draw that in. The last one that I need to find is the last point up there. That's 25 over there. I know that this length is 25, that length is 25, and I need a 25 over here. If I arc that off over there, I should find that I've got my pentagon rather nicely done. There we go. And it should be more or less in the right position on this thing. Right, there we go. There's my pentagon. And I should find that I can then continue with my drawing. Continuing on, I'm going to draw a XY axis over here, about 20 millimeters away, 10 millimeters away, doesn't really matter. Draw in an XY axis, label it X, label it Y, and I'm going to take my construction lines down from the corners of this, from there, from there, from there, and from there. I can then measure off the 55 millimeters that they tell me to go down over there. There's your 55 millimeters. Take it from the XY axis, mark off that point, and I now have my point 0, I call it. There's point 0 over there, and I can take lines coming from, I'm going to label these points. Let's call that point 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Let's place those points on this XY axis. There's number 1, there's number 2, there's number 3, there's number 4, and there's number 5. Okay, you can see how I've taken that down onto there. I'm going to then draw in the lines over here, coming down to that point, and doing lines from point 2. Then we need to decide as to what lines I can actually see. I'm going to place myself in the picture. I'm looking across. I will be able to see line 1, 0. There's 0 in the middle. Line 1, 0, I can definitely see that as a dark line over there. 4 and 3, I can't see those because they're on the other side of this thing. So that would be hidden detail going from point 3 over there to the apex, 0 over here, and from 4 to the apex, 0 over there. Right, there's the construction of those two views, and now we can get on with doing the rest of the drawing. Right, thank you.